By 2026, the Los Angeles urban ecosystem will face an acute collision of environmental variables. Rising baseline temperatures and shifting hydrological patterns are exerting intense pressure on the biological populations that share our infrastructure. To counter declining living standards, the state has enacted aggressive new housing mandates. Legislation like AB 628 takes effect January 1st, requiring the mandatory installation of modern stoves and refrigerators across thousands of rental units. Concurrently, new municipal cooling mandates require property owners to maintain a maximum indoor temperature of 82 degrees Fahrenheit, driving a massive wave of rapid exterior HVAC installations. These progressive housing upgrades create a structural paradox. Every new appliance acts as a heat sink, and every wall penetration required for an air conditioning unit creates an unsealed gap in the building envelope. We are inadvertently engineering ideal ecological niches for invasive species. This dashboard tracks the compounding effect of these upgrades. As structural penetrations increase and internal heat signatures rise, pest ingress vectors multiply, and the overall habitability index of the building fails. Understanding why top-down housing policies fracture at the macro level requires analyzing the specific biomechanical and reproductive realities of the vectors at the micro level. We begin with the biological mechanics of the German cockroach. Its flattened dorso-ventral body plan allows it to compress into fractions of a millimeter, perfectly adapting it to the tight thermal gaps behind newly mandated kitchen appliances. This diagram shows the baseline reproductive velocity of the species. A single female extrudes a protective egg capsule called an ootheca. Each capsule yields up to 40 distinct embryos, perfectly shielded from external environmental stressors. Over a 365-day cycle, the overlapping maturation of these nymphs creates a rapid generational cascade. One reproductive female generates a population exceeding 30,000 offspring within a single calendar year. This exponential biology dictates our local data. It drives the 85% prevalence rate currently documented in Los Angeles County multifamily housing, with populations migrating continuously through shared plumbing chases. Because municipal prevalence relies on biological exponential scale, traditional unit-by-unit mitigation strategies cannot outpace the reproductive engine of the species. Moving from reproductive scale to chemical resilience, the bedbug presents a different mechanical problem. Prolonged exposure to consumer pesticides has selected for thick, heavily sclerotized cuticles that physically block chemical absorption. This 3D bar chart outlines the national bedbug infestation rates. Los Angeles currently ranks 4th in the United States, competing directly with dense, older municipalities like New York and Philadelphia. Pyrethroid resistance is now fully established in the Los Angeles population. Over-the-counter chemical sprays do not penetrate the insect's morphology, leaving the reproductive adults completely intact to continue breeding. Eradicating this vector requires a strict biomechanical intervention. Property owners must elevate the ambient temperature of an entire unit past 120 degrees Fahrenheit to denature the proteins inside the insect and cross the biological survival threshold. Modern eradication has shifted entirely away from chemical application. It is now a highly specialized thermal engineering problem. Pests also operate as highly efficient epidemiological vectors. The cat flea utilizes powerful hind legs and piercing mouthparts to easily bridge the gap between urban wildlife reservoirs and human hosts. This cross-section illustrates the specific transmission mechanism for flea-borne typhus. The insect does not inject the pathogen directly. Instead, it deposits infected frass on the surface of the dermis. The human host inadvertently inoculates themselves by scratching, driving the bacteria directly into the open bite wound. This map shows the macro-level impact of that microscopic inoculation. In a single year, Los Angeles County recorded 220 confirmed cases of typhus, concentrated in 3 distinct hotspots, resulting in a 90% hospitalization rate. While typhus clusters in localized outbreaks, other vectors assert continuous basin-wide persistence. The Argentine ant operates via highly coordinated swarm intelligence. This visualization maps the Argentine ant supercolony. Rather than fighting over territory, these ants function as a single, unicolonial network that ignores geographic borders, utilizing our concrete storm drains and freeway corridors as protected transit routes. This gauge correlates the supercolony's movements to local climate data. As summer temperatures rise and exterior hydrological stress peaks, the probability of the colony driving its foraging lines indoors spikes in exact synchronization. Urban vectors scale their operations seamlessly. They exploit millimeter-wide dermal breaches just as efficiently as 30-mile topographical gradients, rendering standard geographic property lines irrelevant. Combating these highly adapted systems require advanced countermeasures, particularly against the Aedes aegypti mosquito, an aggressive daytime biter and container breeder capable of transmitting dengue and Zika virus. This diagram demonstrates the sterile insect technique. Without using gene editing, male mosquitoes are sterilized via precise X-ray irradiation and released into the wild. They successfully mate with wild females, but the resulting egg rafts are biologically unviable and collapse. This graph plots the Sumlin-Tujunga pilot data over 12 weeks. While the control zone saw rising populations, the intervention zone crashed to 18% of its baseline, achieving a rapid 82% reduction in wild mosquitoes. Targeted genetic and biomechanical interventions offer a mathematically proven method to crash urban population curves without deploying obsolete and ineffective chemical toxins. Applying these biological models to 2026 municipal housing exposes our policy hazard. Mandatory new refrigerators and stoves for AB 628 create thermal breeding voids for cockroaches' 30,000-unit exponential cycle. Simultaneously, HVAC cooling mandates create physical exterior penetrations, offering immediate access for the ant supercolony. When units inevitably fail quadrennial inspections, mechanisms like the REAP program impose a 50% rent reduction penalty on the property. This drains the exact capital required to hire the specialized thermal engineering teams needed to eradicate resistant strains like bedbugs. Human legislation and biological vectors are locked in a continuous feedback loop, competing for the exact same physical space inside the structural envelope. Effective public health planning cannot treat housing policy and vector control as isolated disciplines. Maintaining true habitability requires engineering the building envelope to deliberately withstand the biomechanical realities of the urban biome.